Mushoku Tensei follows a 34-year-old recluse who dies and is reincarnated as a baby in a high fantasy world. Although the Isekai subgenre is currently flooded, this anime manages to stand out for all of the right and wrong reasons, the latter of which I'll be discussing in the second half of today's video. Starting off with what I think it did right, let's talk about the premise itself and how it's executed. In Mushoku Tensei, our protagonist retains all of his memories, meaning that his personality carries over for better or worse. I like how the story plays on the common fantasy of one going back to right the wrongs of their life through the sheer power of hindsight. Rudius lived a traumatic life filled with bullying, which prompted him to retreat into his home for decades. These traumatic experiences are gradually revealed to the viewer in his new life as parallels trigger flashbacks. Additionally, he struggles to overcome issues prominent in his past life, such as venturing out into the world, overcoming social obstacles, and most importantly, self-restraint, but more on that one later. Rudius is also a big gamer, so in his second chance he chooses to gamify the entire world. He begins by becoming the world's first autodidact toddler, grinding away in front of his mother's magical tomes until he's mastered intermediate level spells. He also applies himself by learning economics and various languages so he can have a fair chance at prospering regardless of what part of the world he finds himself in. Another aspect that I enjoy with fantasy anime in general is the world building, and I wasn't disappointed. The anime features vast lore containing numerous countries and races, all with their own distinct cultures and languages. There are even numerous magical elements displayed within the first season that inspired much curiosity for its continuation, such as floating islands and random levitating magical spheres. It's clear to see that the lore we're introduced to is only the tip of the iceberg. Additionally, the combat system is just as vast, although it appears to be broken down into only two classes, warrior and mage. There are still numerous ranks and skill sets between them. For example, mage spells are broken down into elemental, healing, and summoning. I liked how Rudius's parents were both warrior and mage, so he was split between learning magic in the day and swordplay at night. This allowed us to see that he has weaknesses and isn't capable of being equally proficient in both, at least as of yet. There's also a fair bit of politics involved, but I won't touch on that due to spoilers. However, I will say that the human government is an aristocracy, and we all know the behind-the-scenes drama that's usually involved in regards to succession. Next up, let's talk comedy. I found Mushoku Tensei to be pretty funny. Most of its humor stems from characters being unaware that Rudius is actually twice their age, if not more. He does a lot of things that are unexpected to them. It's a lot of situational humor that's hard to convey here, but I will say that its humor is heavily but not exclusively reliant on perverted jokes. Honestly, I found myself laughing 25% of the time, and the remainder just made me feel uncomfortable, which I'll be discussing in the second half of this review. Lastly, for the positives, let's talk about the presentation. I thought it was beautiful, and I appreciated how the art style changes dramatically between his lives. It almost feels like two completely different teams worked on it due to how contrasting the aesthetics were. I thought they did an outstanding job on the backgrounds in the fantasy world, especially considering how many different locations we experienced within the first season. Moving on to the negatives, my main complaint relates to Rudius's personality. For one, he is a narcissist. I don't think every protagonist needs to be moral, I just want their personality and goals to be interesting. A good example was Light Yagami in Death Note. Light was pragmatic and manipulative. He didn't care who died as a result of his goal because he wanted to rid the world of evil. That, along with the Death Note itself, made for a very interesting premise. Rudius, on the other hand, has no apparent goal aside from treating this new world as a sandbox video game and grooming an 8-year-old girl into becoming his ideal woman. That's right, Rudius is also an unapologetic pedophile who manipulates everyone he can in order to service his sick fantasies. On numerous occasions, he fantasizes and even sexually assaults girls under the age of 12 while he is mentally over 40 years old. Some would argue that he hasn't reached the point where he takes the world seriously. My response is that he lived in it every day for 10 years. If he doesn't take the past 10 years of his life seriously, then when will he? The way I see it is, there's only one possible defense, and it's that Rudius might see the error of his ways and redeem himself further into the series. According to readers of the light novel and webcomic, he does. However, according to articles I've read, the author simply toned things down after a while because he was getting a lot of backlash from readers, and it was either tone things down or cancel the series altogether. While it's totally possible that the author wanted to write the redemption story of a depraved character, I think it's more likely that his own fetishes were seeping through onto the page, especially considering that this was originally a fan fiction uploaded to the internet without expecting it to become popular. Not all fan fictions are a sexual outlet, but a lot of them are. Furthermore, he states that hentai games are partially responsible for his inspiration due to how they weave sexual desire into the plot. Can you imagine how you'd react if you shared your taboo sexual desires with a small website in the form of a story and it eventually became popular around the world? You'd probably want to hide your face, right? Well, that's exactly what the author does. I don't mind separating the artist from his work as long as there are no obvious influences. A good example would be with Rurouni Kenshin. Sorry if this ruined your childhood, but Google what Nobuhiro Watsuki got in trouble for. This didn't impact my love for the series because there are no obvious influences. There's no sexual fan service in any of his works from what I can tell. In my opinion, they are totally innocent. Mushoku Tensei, on the other hand, was graphic in detailing sexual fantasies involving children. No ordinary person does that. It's hard to believe that this was originally written in any other context than directly targeting an audience who shares a similar interest, though that is just my assumption. Fans of the anime or light novel may disagree or even be angry with me over this, but both the anime and light novel are censored versions of the original story. I consulted with some of my viewers who are very knowledgeable about the source material, and they helped me understand a great deal about it. They posted screenshots and articles relating to whatever questions I had, and even gave me helpful feedback for this review. Although I admit that the worst is possibly behind me in terms of disagreeable content, and what lies ahead likely improves upon everything I liked about the first season, looking deeper into the abyss behind the anime actually turned me off to it more than the anime itself. I mostly blame the portions of the original webcomic I read for the purposes of having greater context. For what it's worth, my viewers knowledgeable on the source material agreed with my positive opinions regarding Mushoku Tensei, but somewhat disagreed with my criticisms, despite acknowledging that the perversion was taken too far. Their thoughts on the first season were that it was mostly a fair adaptation, but it was rushed in certain areas. The source material gave greater detail to some of the characters, mostly the family maid. The last third was apparently rushed, removing entire chunks of interesting character interaction from the third volume. Apparently, the anime betrays some of the subtle character development featured in the light novel. Supposedly, the halfway point of the first season was the turning point in the light novel where the protagonist begins to develop. The anime allegedly negates this subtle development in favor of giving into perversion. My overall opinions on Mushoku Tensei Season 1 as of right now rest in a gray nexus of conflicting emotions. On one hand, it offers a lot to enjoy, but on the other hand, I find it repulsive for scenes that admittedly occupy a portion of the overall series. It's kind of like your favorite restaurant is offering a free 10-course meal under the restriction that you have to empty all of your plates, but on the edge of your first plate is a little drop of poop. Whether you walk away hungry, eat around it, then walk away, or gobble it up in anticipation of what comes next will differ for everyone. I personally remain skeptical, and I will consider revisiting the anime on a later date provided the content has changed. As things stand, I can't under good conscience recommend Mushoku Tensei Season 1, but you're free to decide for yourself. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. The second season is slated to air July 2021, so it's only a 4-month wait. It may clear up some of these issues, but I'll reevaluate my stance on it when the time comes. As for my recommendations, Log Horizon is one of my favorite relevant isekai, though I haven't completed it yet. Its story follows an enchanter, and it focuses more on economic and political aspects for most of its first season. I asked one of my helpful viewers for recommendations relating to Mushoku Tensei, so the next two are theirs. That time I got reincarnated as a slime due to it being a reincarnation story and because it's much more laid back and fun. ReZero is recommended for its world building and shares the aspect of self-improvement for its protagonist. I'd like to give a special thanks to Neil and Duncan for assisting me with this review. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Mushoku Tensei in the comments section below. Share this video with those who might be interested so they can be informed without being spoiled. I'll see you next time with various reviews from winter 2021 and Gundam 8th MS Team.